And welcome back to another episode of The Lounge. Today is Thursday, June 14th, and this is Throwback Thursday right here on The Lounge. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode. As you guys know, today is not a cigar review, combination review. Today is Throwback Thursday, so we're going to talk to you guys and talk with you guys about the events that have happened during this week in not only recent years, but, throughout history. And so today we're going from the oldest to the newest, or the most ancient to the most modern, however you want to describe that. And I will be smoking an acid Blondie. I've actually never had one of these. I've been meaning to get around to it. I didn't really feel like judging it today. I just kind of needed something short, light. From what I've heard, this is a great cigar when you're just looking like something to puff on. This is the Lounge, and we do love cigars here, so I wanted to go ahead and smoke something. I didn't know what it was I was going to smoke. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab our torch. Yeah, man. Unfortunately, a lot of our torches are gone missing recently. Actually, a lot of our torches have gone missing, and that's pretty weird. So this one works right here. I'm going to go ahead and light the cigar. Toasty outside, as usual. As per usual, right here on the Lounge. So as soon as I get this started, I'm going to go ahead and start the reading of the articles. I picked some different ones today. I think they're pretty cool. Some are old, but I'm sure you'll remember from your history class. They've always said it has a weird taste. It does have like an odd flavor. But we're not here to talk about the cigar. We're here to talk about history. And so the first article that I found was on June 10th. So 4 days ago. Today's the 14th. So Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, I think Sunday. So the first day of the week this week. In 1752, Benjamin Franklin flies the kite during the thunderstorm. I think you all remember this from, your history class, the picture of Ben Franklin holding the kite up in the air. And on this day, and again, all these articles are brought in thanks to history.com/thisdayinhistory. Great, conglomerate of articles, regarding the past and past events. So on this day in 1752, Benjamin Franklin flies a kite during a thunderstorm and collects a charge in a Leyden jar when the kite is struck by lightning, enabling him to demonstrate the electrical nature of lightning. Franklin became interested in electricity in the mid-1740s, a time when much was still unknown on the topic, and spent almost a decade conducting electrical experiments. He coined a number of terms used today, including battery, conductor, and electrician. He also invented the lightning rod used to protect buildings and ships. Pretty interesting, I guess. If you ask me, that's a pretty interesting. He had a fixation on the way that electricity worked, and he wanted to find out how it went down. So he went out into a thunderstorm and started playing with electricity. I remember one time when I was little, I was very curious on this subject as well, and I was playing with two batteries, and my aunt gave me a little circuit board, knowing that if I connected something to another thing, it would shock me. And of course, I went ahead and I connected the two things that I was not supposed to connect, and it shocked me. And I've been scared of every time I go to plug in something into the wall, into an outlet or something like that. Always, I always jump. I always get scared. The little spark comes out. The spark will scare me. So, been scarred. I was very interested in electricity when I was younger as well, so I could see where Benjamin Franklin is coming from, especially in a time when no one knew, anything about electricity. So I could definitely see why he would have been so interested in that. So the next one actually takes place June 16th, the last day of the week on Saturday. In 1884, the first roller coaster in America opens. So this week in history, the first roller coaster in America opens. So on this day in 1884, which is on Saturday, the 16th, on this day, the first roller coaster in America opens at Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York. Known as the Switchback Railway, it was the brainchild of Lamarcus Thompson. Known as a Switchback Railway, it was the brainchild of Lamarcus Thompson. Traveled approximately 6 miles per hour and cost a nickel to ride. 6 miles per hour. I wonder if there were cars yet in 1884. Were there cars in 1884? I wonder. The new entertainment was an instant success, and by the turn of the century, there were hundreds of roller coasters around the country. I can imagine, bro. I can imagine. The roller coasters are pretty lit. All right, I guess it's a great time, very good time to plug our Instagram. If you didn't know already, you can follow us on Instagram at thelounge.media. You could follow us. Oh man, I dropped the cigar. You can follow us at thelounge.media. You can follow us at Gable Cigars. Man, I kind of just fucked up the cigar, honestly. I hate cursing, too. Should have never gone to take the picture. It was for our story on Instagram. That's why I was plugging it. But, yeah, man, roller coasters are fun. Every time I was always an adrenaline junkie. Like, I'm scared of heights. Like, I can't. Looking down from, like, a 4-story building will get me dizzy. And roller coasters normally go high up in the air, and it's pretty interesting because I love roller coasters. I love that feeling of adrenaline of like, oh my god, I'm going so fast and so high and upside down and this and that. And I love roller coasters. I know a lot of people that actually can't stand roller coasters, or they're deathly afraid. And honestly, it feels bad for them. I feel bad for them because I think it's such a cool experience. Like, I want to go skydiving one day. Man, a lot of things. I like putting myself in new spaces, stepping out of my own comfort zone. So yeah, on Saturday in 1884, it is the almost 150th anniversary, something like that, since the first roller coaster opened in America. All right, so we got two more. This one's a little bit more serious. Sorry, getting a little gassy. But this one's a little bit more serious than the last one. In 1966, the Miranda rights are established. So if you don't know what the Miranda rights, it's basically after you get pulled over or arrested, it's the you have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Those are the Miranda rights. And before this, I remember learning this in history class. Before this, it wasn't mandatory to read you those things, and so you would just get arrested. You wouldn't know your rights. And then let's see if they talk about the history, because I know there's a specific case, and the guy's name was Miranda, if I'm not mistaken. Either the cop or the guy's name was named Miranda, and there was a case where this guy got arrested, didn't know his rights, was talking or something. They used that against him in the court of law, and then he argued that he didn't know what he was allowed to say and what he wasn't allowed to say, so they established his rights. But let me see. On this day in 1966, the Supreme Court hands down its decision to Miranda versus Arizona. So it was Miranda versus Arizona. Miranda was the guy in the car versus Arizona, establishing the principle that all criminal suspects must be advised of their rights before interrogation. Now considered standard police procedure, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you can't say has become heard so many times in television and film dramas that it has become almost cliche. Okay, so here it talks about the roots. The roots of the Miranda decision go back to March 2nd, 1963, when an 18-year-old Phoenix woman told police that she had been abducted, driven to the desert, and raped. Jesus. Detectives questioning her story gave her a polygraph test, but the results were inconclusive. However, tracking the license plate number of a car that resembled that of her attackers brought police to Ernesto Miranda, who had a prior record as a peeping Tom. Although the police did not identify Miranda in Although the victim did not identify Miranda in a lineup, he was brought into police custody and interrogated. What happened next is disputed, but officers left the interrogation with a confession that Miranda later recanted, unaware that he didn't have to say anything at all. You know? So I guess he confessed and he was like, I didn't know I could just not say anything, which in this case seems like he was a little guilty, but it's the principle of knowing what you can and can't do in a situation like that makes this this case so important, because now every time they tell you you have the right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and the moment anything you say will be used against you. But back then they didn't know that. Back then they didn't even know that they had the right to remain silent, which I guess in any situation you do have the right to remain silent. But the confession was extremely brief and differed in certain respects from the victim's account of the crime. However, Miranda's appointed defense attorney didn't call any witnesses at the ensuing trial, and Miranda was convicted. While Miranda was in the Arizona State Prison, the American Civil Liberties Union took upon his appeal, claiming that the confession was false and coerced. The Supreme Court overturned his conviction, but Miranda was retried and convicted in October 1966 anyway, despite the relative lack of evidence against him. Remaining in prison until 1972, Miranda was later stabbed to death in the men's room of a bar after a poker game in January 1976. As a result of the case against Miranda, each and every person must now be informed of his or her rights when arrested. Thank you, Ernesto Miranda, for providing us that, the privilege of knowing our rights after. Not necessarily thank you for what you did, because that's pretty gross and bad what you did, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I think it's pretty noteworthy what he did and what happened to him. So that's why I read it to you guys. I remember it from high school, I think, or middle school. I remember reading about that. I think in my civics class, maybe 7th grade. Not gonna lie, I like this cigar. I like the Blondie. It's a nice cigar. Nice, mellow, not too heavy, easy going, good taste as well. It's a good cigar. People are like, oh, the acids. Just tried it today. It's not a bad cigar by any means. It's good. You're getting what you pay for. You know what I mean? What you're walking into when you get one of these. So not consistent. I don't know. So I've only tried it this one time, but seems like a fairly good cigar. You know what I mean? So, and then the last one. This one's pretty brief. I think this one's just a little funny. We already went over the standard 3. I decided to include an extra one today just for for laughs. But in 1986, and this is on June 11th. So this is on. The first one was on Sunday. And that one was on the 10th. So this one is on Monday. Yeah, so this past Monday in 1986, Ferris Bueller's Day Off was released and features a 1961 Ferrari. So, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I remember watching that in high school. First time I watched it was in high school, even though it came out in the 80s. But, give me a sec. It was a good movie, funny movie, interesting to say the least. I remember one of my teachers in high school was obsessed with it, and we watched it at the end of class before summer started, that week that you're not really doing anything in school. We watched it. It was a cool movie. Any interesting facts, maybe? According to the Motor Trend, the first Ferrari was produced... Oh, they're talking about the Ferrari that was shown there, but... Not really a lot to say about the movie, except that it featured a Ferrari. I don't know why they were so fixated on the Ferrari part, but I think it's because they stole it from his dad. If you haven't seen the movie, it is a big part of the movie, though. So that pretty much does it. Those were the 4 stories that we had to read today. I hope you guys liked that. I like doing this because it lets you look back at history and see what happened and how we reacted to certain things and what happened in certain aspects. So I I liked the 4 stories we had today, and I hope that you did too. If you did like the 4 stories, I would really, and we would all really appreciate you going ahead and clicking that subscribe button. If you like this video specifically, that like button also works very well to let us know. Even drop a comment saying, hey, I like this segment, I like this style of a style of video where you sit down and read the news. Anything, man. Anything. Just engage with us. That's what we want. We want you, the audience, to engage with us, the presenters. So not really a lot more to say. If you like this and you want to see more, again, go ahead and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at thelounge.media. Thank you so much to Gable Cigars for hosting this video and this channel. And question of the day: what's your favorite moment from your childhood? That's question of the day. What's your favorite childhood moment? Throwback Thursday, got to think back to the past. I actually have to post a Instagram right now, Throwback Thursday. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow for Friday's favorite, number 7.